Hey friends, I'm Steph from CheapskateCook.com and StephanieJenkins.com, and today is like story time. Chris and I got married really young. We were 19 and 20. Chris had like an entry-level position and I moved halfway across the country to go and live with him. And so when we created our first budget as a married couple, we were dead broke. We had just barely enough money to meet monthly expenses, assuming that we stayed debt-free, which was our goal, putting in like the very smallest amount of money towards like car repairs. But we could only do that if we stuck to a $25 a week grocery budget. We weren't sure that we could do that, but we really wanted to try. We wanted to stay debt-free. We wanted to be able to save up for other expenses, and we wanted to like eat. So we had to make it work. And at the time, that did not include toiletries because we didn't want to have to decide between buying toilet paper and buying food. So we just kept those things separate. I had $25 a week for food, and I don't even remember how much I had for toiletries. Even though I talk about this a lot on Instagram and my blog, I get a lot of questions about what exactly we ate on $25 a week. And so I thought I would break it down for you, share some of the recipes and strategies, and the main things that helped us do this thing that just was a little bit crazy. This was 2008. This was during the Great Recession. $25 was just a little bit different than it is now. It was a crazy, ridiculous tight budget for 2008. Nobody thought that we could do it. But I just wanted to point out that $25 14 years ago is different than $25 now. So this is not meant to be a competition. This is not meant to be something that makes you feel like you're spending more than necessary. I'm just sharing what worked for us at that time in that season of life where we lived, and I hope that it encourages you as you approach where you live and your budget and what works for you. We learned so much from other people's stories, so this is mine. $25 a week grocery budget was difficult, but it was doable, and a lot of that had to do with our attitude. There were like three main things that I did. Number one, I thought creatively, thought outside the box, and I didn't have a pity party. I should say we didn't have a pity party because Chris was stuck eating on this budget too. Yeah, it was hard. Yeah, we didn't really eat the things that we wanted to eat, but sometimes life is hard and we can do hard things. Number two, I kept a very flexible menu. So this was not the season of life to be like, wow, I really want hamburgers. Let's make hamburgers today. This was more of the, what food do we have? What can we afford? I think we'll eat that. Third, I cooked from scratch. Because I like eating healthy and I did not want to coupon or run around to a million stores every week, I cooked a lot from scratch. I wasn't an amazing cook. I was like 19, 20. I've always enjoyed cooking, so I had some knowledge in the kitchen. We also had like a kitchenette with like a crock pot and a microwave. So I wasn't an amazing cook. I would still say that I'm not an amazing cook right now. I'm a very enthusiastic cook with a can-do attitude. So I tried a lot of things, substituted a lot of ingredients. I mean, kind of like how I cook now. And I made decent food. It worked for us. Okay, here we go. This was generally what we ate week to week. For breakfast, we usually ate oatmeal, and it was often sweetened with honey or maple syrup. We put a little bit of salt into it, and then for protein, I would put in like peanut butter, or I would cook an egg in with the oatmeal. Like if you crack the egg into the oatmeal and then stir it up, then it kind of just becomes this really creamy, rich oatmeal. And that just added a little more protein and was a little more filling. Peanut butter toast on homemade bread, so it was like good for us bread, but it was also really cheap because it was homemade. I did have access to an oven, and then turns out you can actually bake bread in a slow cooker. So once a week, I would make green smoothies. They were really expensive, but I really wanted to get those extra veggies and fruits in me, so we just kind of made that a weekly extravagance. We sound so lame. We also would make pancakes and eggs because I had a plug-in skillet that I could use in the kitchenette, and we would make the eggs stretch a little further by using like flax eggs in the pancakes and then having like a fried egg on top with some maple syrup, which is really good. That's like a sweet, salty something. But mostly it was just oatmeal for breakfast. For lunch, we exclusively packed lunches for work. I would make like pasta salad with tomatoes and herbs and Parmesan cheese, peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Usually I would do like peanut butter and raisin or peanut butter and honey sandwiches. I did come up with this thing that I have fond memories of. It was delicious to me. Other people might find it gross, but one of the ways that I saved on like vegetables and nutrients like that was that I would grow sprouts in our kitchen. Sprouts are really easy to grow. You don't even need like sunlight. They would just sit in the kitchen sink in a jar with like a special sprouting lid. It was a really cost-effective way to eat really nutritious food. So I grew my own sprouts. I would have sprouts with cream cheese on a tortilla and just wrap it up, and that was my lunch. Again, I thought it was delicious. I haven't had it in a long time, so I don't know if it was delicious or if we were just trying to fill ourselves with calories. We would also do like a hummus wrap with tomatoes and veggies, and then we supplement that with whatever fruits and veggies were on sale. We would do like celery and raisins and peanut butter, or apples and peanut butter, or carrots and hummus, and then of course some chips or whatever. For dinners, I would make a pasta with Parmesan and like broccoli and just a little bit of chicken. I actually have that recipe on my blog, so I will link to that. I might even have a video. If I find a video, it would have been made a long time ago, a really old video. You don't have to watch it, but I'll link to it if I find it. We would have fried rice, so that was another way to get a lot of calories and a little bit of protein and veggies. Lentil soup, which is still my family's favorite soup recipe. You can check that out as well. Barbecue chicken with bread and a salad or steamed vegetables. Tacos with an emphasis on like the beans, and sometimes I would make lentils and just a little bit of meat. And then cheesy lentil pie, which is also on my blog, and that was one of my like childhood favorites, but it was just like lentils and rice and cheese and some tomato sauce, and it was just really delicious and filling and comforting. So this was my weekly strategy. Typically, I would choose whether we were having chicken that week or whether we were having beef, and then I would buy a whole chicken from the grocery store. I think at that time it was like $3 for a chicken, and I would cook it in the slow cooker all day, usually while I was at work, and then take all the meat off of it and put all the meat in a separate container, and then put all of the skin and the bones and stuff back into the crock pot with some water and any vegetable scraps that we had. And I would make a pot of broth for soup later in the week. And then we would use the like little pile of chicken for whatever we were making, just some of those ideas that I shared with you. And that would kind of get us through the whole week of meals. And sometimes we would have leftovers for lunches, or we just eat like peanut butter and jelly for lunch and then oatmeal in the morning. If we were eating beef, then I would buy a pound or two and I would cook it all up, and then I would make lentils as well and mix that in with the meat and then use it for whatever recipes that you would use ground beef for. But I could make the meat last twice as long because I'd mixed it up with lentils, and it was seasoned really well and it was delicious. I'm not gonna say it was as good as just eating meat. We were getting more protein in every meal, and we were also eating lentils, which are pretty good for you. We actually didn't eat a lot of beans and rice per se, mostly because we just didn't really like beans. We liked lentils, so we ate a lot of like lentils and rice. Lentils are actually really easy to cook. You can buy them dry, they're really inexpensive, and you only have to cook them for 20 minutes. So they're actually a lot easier to cook at home than, say, you know, dry beans. We lived in a small house. Cooking a pot of beans in the crock pot really stunk it up, and lentils didn't do that. If you haven't tried lentils yet, I highly encourage you to do that. This is the way that we focused on a lot of meatless meals or mostly meatless meals. And then we would just supplement with as many vegetables as we could and some good healthy carbs like rice or homemade bread or potatoes. I bought some staples at Aldi, and then I would shop whatever sales or clearance that I could find at Kroger. Then I usually found like a local farm stand for fruits and vegetables. And I did that because first, supporting local agriculture was always really important to me. So if I could find a way to work it into my budget, I wanted to try to. But second, I actually worked at a produce stand for a while, and they would give me all of their like marred produce. I think they're called seconds. So it was the like tomatoes with a bad spot or slightly overripe fruit. I would bring home like boxes and boxes of produce for free. And then I could pack it all in the freezer, or I could make something with it. And that honestly helped a lot with eating real food and eating plenty of plants and fruits and vegetables on that tight a budget. So when I stopped working at the produce stand, I found another local stand, and I would just go every week, and I always bought stuff from them. But eventually I asked them what they did with their seconds, and if they were just throwing them out, then quite often they would just give them to me. So I was still purchasing produce from them, but we were broke and they knew it. So they were helping us out. And in that way, we got to eat a lot of fruits and vegetables, even though I wasn't working at a produce stand. And then of course, let's not forget, like, we were not eating perfectly clean all the time. So I've made lots of homemade like cookies, and we had chips, and we were eating normal stuff in between. I just wanted to show you kind of what our real food focus was for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then just in your head supplement like, chocolate chip cookies. I made those a lot. I made snickerdoodles, and we had lots of like tortilla chips and salsa. In general, was this a completely balanced diet? Probably not. I don't even think we were getting enough calories at that point, but we never eat perfectly, right? Even now, when we can get enough calories and we can eat much healthier, we're still not eating perfect. My goal is never to eat perfectly. I just want to have a balanced approach to my diet and my family's diet and our grocery budget. But when I look back at this season, when we had $25 a week for groceries, I am proud of us. We didn't starve, we didn't go into debt, we stuck to our grocery budget, and we made it, we did it. I don't think we would do it differently if we could go back. I hope this gives you some good ideas if you are on a tight budget, or you just really are trying to find a way to afford eating real food. This is one of my favorite things to talk about, saving money and eating healthy at the same time. Remember to think creatively, don't have a pity party, be willing to cook from scratch if you don't want to like coupon or use other methods, and keep your menu flexible. There's so many things that you can do if you do those 3 things. I'm Steph from CheapskateCook.com and StephanieJenkins.com. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hit the like and subscribe button, and I will see you again for more ways to save money and eat healthy. So meat monthly, blah, blah, blah. This is just, I'm just sharing, how do I say this? Does that make any sense? Burping. Filling, blah, blah, blah.